sound of silence. What do you think of when you hear the word silence? Hush. Shh. Mum's the word. I hear. Don't talk back. Stop talking. Hold your tongue. Have you ever felt so afraid of speaking up that you just shut down? Yep. Yeah. At one time, that was me. I suffered a challenging childhood, and as a result, I lost my ability to speak up, to voice opinions, to speak to people. Being resilient, I survived my early childhood and I put myself through college. I got a degree in marketing. When I graduated, I took a position as a marketing associate. I got lost in the marketing campaigns that I created. I didn't talk. I continued in my world of silence. 6 months into my career, I entered the Philadelphia Direct Marketing Association Benny Award for Best Marketer of the Year. I thought, what the heck? I'll enter. And I did. And I went to the event and I watched as colleague after colleague was called up and presented with awards. And then I heard the Philadelphia Direct Marketing Association Benny Award goes to Judy Cohen. I won the most prestigious award given by the association 6 months into my career. The next day, when I went to work, the vice president of marketing presented me with a beautiful bouquet of flowers. He was thrilled with the prestige that I brought to the company. A few days later, he called me into his office. This was not the feeling I had from the few days before when I was given the flowers. I sat across from him, and I remember staring into those blue eyes, and he said to me, "Your work is exemplary, but you are never going to rise in this company if you don't learn to speak up." Speak up. My ancient fears filled my body at the thought of verbalizing my opinions. I fell silent. All I could hear was the beating of my heart. The silence went on for some time. Finally, he broke the silence. "I will be your teacher." I couldn't believe it. The vice president of marketing became my self-appointed mentor and coach. Whenever I was in a meeting and a question was asked or a thought was on the table for discussion, he would come behind me and whisper in my ear, "Speak now, speak now." 2 little words that gave me permission to speak that I never had before, and I did. Oh, it was hard at first, but I walked through that fear, and the most amazing thing happened, and it was nothing bad. My career took off. I went from marketing associate to marketing manager to creative director to marketing director. I met monthly with the CEO and we discussed direction for the company. I met weekly with the vice president of marketing and we put together campaigns. I met monthly with the employees and we discussed direction for our company and the brand that we would represent. Surprisingly, I found another avenue for my voice, acting. There was a program on television called AM Philadelphia. I wrote to the executive producer and I pitched the show idea. She said, "Come in and talk to me. If I like your idea, I'll give you a show. If I love your idea, I'll give you a series." I put together the best marketing campaign ever, and I landed the series. I did each show with the host of the program. You may know him. It was Dave Roberts, the 6th ABC meteorologist, who recently retired. It opened doors for me for other television programs and radio. I also joined the Professional Actors Union and was an extra in many movies that were filmed in this geographic area. I was in scenes with Danny DeVito, Joe Piscopo, Penn and Teller, and many others. It was a thrill watching these actors bring their stories to life. It was amazing. Another big thing that happened to me is that I filmed a local television commercial. That commercial was shown every day, every hour, 3 times an hour for 1 year. I was recognized everywhere I went. In 2008, I left corporate America. I took my media and acting background, and my marketing background, and I merged them together and created my company, Red Hot Presentations. I teach my clients how to step up, how to speak from their heart, how to share their story, how to use their authentic voice so that people know who they are. You are important. You have a story to share. I now do for my clients what my mentor did for me so many years ago. I want to do for you what he did for me. I want to stand behind you and whisper in your ear, speak now. Speak now. But what do we speak about? One of the best things to speak about is your story. So many times people say, tell me about yourself. And we become our resumes. We become our amazing credentials, our job titles, our framed diplomas on the wall. But who are we? I urge you to take off that mask of perfection and step into your authenticity. Share your story. Many years ago, I went to a meeting with other entrepreneurs. There were 10 of us. We were seated around this big wooden table. We were there to talk about why we started our businesses, who we are, and what we do. I went first. I shared my resume. I then sat there and listened as person after person went around the table and shared not their resume, but their story. I was amazed by what I heard. And after all of them shared, I decided to take the plunge. I stood up and I shared my story. I shared how I lost my voice as a child, how I couldn't speak, and with tears running down my face, I shared why I do what I do, how I don't want anyone else to lose their voice, because we are brilliant just the way we are. We have a message to share with the world, and our message is important. And when I finished, they ran up and hugged me. I couldn't believe it. They said, now we know who you are, and now we know what you do. And we know why you do it. That was the defining moment. That was the moment that changed everything. That was the moment that I discovered the power of story. When we share our story, yes, we are vulnerable. Yes, people see us for who we really are. But we engage with people on a deeper level than our resume could ever do. We are so much more. And today I am going to show you how to create and share your story. You have a story waiting to be told. A story has an arc. And I am going to show you how to take your stories and go from ordinary to extraordinary, because you are extraordinary. I am going to ask for your help during this part of the presentation. All I ask, and you're safe in this room, is just to repeat back to me if I call on you. You might have 2 or 3 words to say back. Can you help? Excellent. The very first part of a story is to share the challenge. If you watch a movie, read a book, see a commercial even, it's not all one thought or one line. You know, we all live happily ever after from the very beginning. It's not very interesting. We need to start by sharing the challenge. Can you say, share the challenge?
Share the challenge.
Share the challenge. Excellent. Remember that because I'm going to come back and we're going to keep sharing the challenge. Once upon a time, there was a young boy. He was in high school. He met his lady love. It was the young girl at the locker down the hall. He thought she was the most exquisite young woman he had ever seen. He was in love. We are going to develop the conflict. Can you say develop the conflict?
Develop the conflict.
Develop the conflict. So we start by
Share the challenge.
sharing the challenge, and then we
Develop the conflict.
develop the conflict. So he is walking down the hall. She's not noticing him. He drops his books. He's picking up his books. She is not looking at him. She does not see this young boy. So we have
Share the challenge.
we shared the challenge, we
Develop the conflict.
and the next step is to escalate the conflict. We need to escalate the conflict. Can you say escalate the conflict? Thank you. Escalate the conflict. So he's thinking, how can I get her attention? I am going to keep trying. So he is now walking down the hall, and what does he see? There is a new boy in town. A new boy leaning against the girl's locker, and they're talking together, and they're making eyes, and she's smiling, and she's very interested in him, and he's very interested in her, and our poor boy, his heart is broken. His heart is broken because we
Share a challenge.
we shared the challenge.
Develop the conflict.
We developed the conflict, and we escalated the conflict. We escalated the conflict. What is he going to do? He goes home and he calls her on the phone, and he hears that voice. Hello? 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 Click. He hung up. He could not talk to his lady love. Okay, something had to change. He now has the aha moment. Can you say aha moment?
Aha moment.
Aha moment. We have an aha moment. We are thinking it because we started by
Share the challenge.
we shared the challenge.
Develop the conflict.
We developed the conflict. We escalated the conflict, and then he had that.
Aha moment.
He had that aha moment. He said, okay, your boy in town, what I'm doing, it is not working. I'm in love. She is not looking at me. What do I do? He cannot figure it out, but he knows whatever he's doing is not working. So he says, I have got to have an action plan. What does he need? An action plan. So we have now
Share the challenge.
shared the challenge.
Develop the conflict.
Developed the conflict. Escalated the conflict.
Aha moment.
We had an aha moment, and now we need an
Action.
action plan. We need an action plan. So he was in the gym, and he happened to catch a look at himself in the mirror. So he, whoa, okay. Perhaps the clothes need to change. And that hair, okay, maybe a haircut. And then he decided to go on Facebook. And he looks up his lady. Oh, she likes Shakespeare. She likes Shakespeare too. He decided that now they have something in common. Perhaps they can talk about it. So he goes out and he gets some new clothes. He gets his hair done. He has his big book of William Shakespeare sitting right on top. And now he's walking down the hall. He's feeling kind of confident because he has his new look. He's feeling good. And he walks past her locker. Whoop. She noticed him. Wow. William Shakespeare? You like William Shakespeare? I like William Shakespeare too. And she said, would you mind if we talk about it? He is feeling pretty good. His action plan is working. and they walk off down the hall together. And now he has a transformation. Can you say transformation?
Transformation.
Transformation, because he is not the same young boy who was lost at the beginning. So we
Share the challenge.
shared the challenge,
Develop the conflict.
developed the conflict, escalated the conflict, had the
Aha moment.
aha moment, and we put it into an
Action plan.
action plan.
Which resulted in a transformation.
Yes, okay, we did it. So now they walk off into the sunset together, or down the hall, or forever long teenage love lasts. And if we wanted to, we might see the story go into boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets another girl. But for now, they are all together. They had that transformation. That is the arc of a story that takes you from ordinary to extraordinary. We start with the challenge and we end with the transformation. One more time, those steps are:
Share the challenge. Develop the conflict. Escalate the conflict. Aha moment. Action plan.
Transformation.
woohoo! That is how you tell a story. Yes, that is the arc of a story. That takes you from ordinary to extraordinary. And ladies and gentlemen, inside of each of you is an incredible story. But not just one story. There are many stories. People who work with me say, Judy, I don't have any stories to tell. Of course you have stories. You all have stories from the moment you're born until the moment you sat down right here in this room. You have stories. And when we share our stories, people connect with us. The key is telling the right stories for the right audience. Today you're here at the Healthier You Conference. The keynote speaker and the other speakers are going to talk about health-related topics because it's appropriate for this audience. There are 4 categories in terms of how to find your story: people, places, things, and events. Let's think about people. We can go way back in your childhood. Think, what is your earliest memory? What comes to mind? It's a story. What I remember is when I was 4 years old, my sister was born. And she was in a carriage, and I was eating a sandwich. And I remember walking around the carriage and dropping crumbs on my baby sister. Yes, it was one of my finer moments. I was 4. But what is the moment that comes to your mind? Is there something that you just thought of that maybe you haven't thought of in a very long time? Move up the years. Think of grade school. Did you have a best friend? Did you have a favorite teacher? Was there a teacher that changed your life? When I was in the 5th grade, I had a teacher. His name was Mr. Carmen. I used to write stories, and he said to my mother, she should be a writer. She should write stories. She should share her stories with others. And here I am, many years later, teaching how to tell stories. I tried to find Mr. Carmen, and I couldn't. I never really knew his first name. Mr. Carmen. 5th grade. I was 10. But what about you? Who are the teachers that changed your life? People. Anybody come up with the thought that they hadn't thought of in a long time? Anything jump into your mind? Write it down. This is the beginning of your stories. The first date. Your first kiss. You're looking at that special someone down the hall at the locker. When you got married. Your husband or wife. These are the people who are important to you. These are the people who help create your story. And then we look at things. Do you have hobbies? Do you collect things? What are the things that are important? Did someone give you something special? it be a trigger as you think of your story. Places. Where have you gone? Have you vacationed somewhere? A special honeymoon? A trip in the neighborhood? Think of a place. During this time of thinking, you may have ideas that you have not thought of in a very long time. Sometimes just a spark will come to us. Write it down. Keep a story journal. People, places, things, events. Just being here today, something may happen. You may interact with someone that creates a story for you going forward. These are sparks. Events. You are here today for a reason. What drew you to the Healthier You conference? What is your Healthier You story? We all have different stories. Perhaps some of you found this amazing diet where you struggled and now you have this lifestyle that is amazing because of what you discovered. Perhaps a health issue was corrected. Perhaps you have a story that can empower someone else's story. What do you know that can change the life of someone else? My husband is a type 1 diabetic. He's been a diabetic since he was 4 years old. We knew we had to do something to keep him healthy. And we discovered the vegan lifestyle. For us, it works. His sugar has perfect control. He has no side effects. His cholesterol is low. His blood pressure is low. It is in the low normal range. And we believe that it is our lifestyle and how we eat, and also how we think about things and exercise that keep us healthy. That is our story. What is yours? Does anyone have a story that they would like to share about a journey that they went on, that they can show this transformation from ordinary to extraordinary? Anybody have a thought that they didn't think of before they sat down in the seat today? You do?
You want me to share?
Sure, absolutely, if you want to.
Alright, well, in last December, I was diagnosed with toxic shock syndrome, so I spent the week in intensive care unit. So after that, I decided that I needed to focus on my health wholeheartedly. So I started exercising 5 times a week, cutting back all the sugars. I don't eat candy anymore, that kind of stuff. So I just focused on my health and focusing on my schoolwork and what I needed to do. So that definitely, I saw the transformation from not being able to walk anymore to being who I am now. So.
Yes. Wow. That is exactly what I'm talking about. That is the ordinary to extraordinary. That is an amazing story because you have an incredible transformation. Your story would empower other young women because when you share that story, and even other women and even men, because you're showing the power of taking control of your health. And now you feel healthy, you look fabulous.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that is an incredible journey. Yes. And it didn't happen overnight, I'm sure.
No.
No, because you had the challenge, and then that conflict set in of health issues, and then you took control of your life. You put together an action plan. That aha moment went off, and you said, I better put together an action plan. And here you are, totally transformed, looking radiant and beautiful. Congratulations. Excellent. And you've come, obviously, a very long way.
Yes.
Because you look healthy and beautiful, and you're sharing with us.
But the reason why I'm here today, because
Yes, tell us.
well, me and my husband, we decided to get healthy, but I'm also a pastor. And I chose your class because because to me it's very important that I relate to my audience each and every week. And I never know who's sitting in front of me. So that's why I'm here.
Well, you know, the wonderful thing thing about what you do, and when you reach all those people in your audience, they all have stories. And they all have magical lives. And they have lives of importance.
And they don't know that.
And they don't know that.
They don't know that.
Exactly.
That's the whole.
And that's the power that you have through story. And that's the power that you have when you share words with them and ideas. And you bring them forward because you connect with them. And when we connect heart to heart, people remember us. And we can make a difference. And if we don't just share facts and figures and pretend to be someone, but we share stories, we connect. We lower stress levels. It's amazing. But we are more when we connect and share our stories. And the beautiful thing is, whatever you share with your audience, you're reaching someone or many. Because we all have that human connection for what we do and who we are. And we're people. And that's beautiful. And I'm so happy that you are healthy. And as you share your story, you are empowering others to know what is possible. That's the thing. When we share our stories, we show the possibility for others. We become an example of the solution that they are looking for. And that is a lot of times why people work with us, want to be with us, because they're connecting with us on that heartfelt level. And we're showing them what's possible. And if you're in sales, when you share your story, people aren't buying your products and services so much as they are buying their relationship with you. That is why they are with you. If you think about what you sell or whatever you do in this world, you have competition. There is not just one person doing what you are doing. It's not you. But there is only one of you. And that is the magic. Because when you connect with people and you share what's special about yourself with them, that's what they want to be connected to. That is your gift. And that is why they will work with you. Think about it. When you have a headache, you're not going out to buy an aspirin. You are going out to buy relief from the headache.
True.
Right? When you hang up a picture, you're not going out to buy a nail. You're going out to find a method to hang the picture. You are the same thing. You're like the aspirin and the nail, but you have a purpose. And they want that relationship with you. And when you share your story from your heart, people know you. It is authentic, and you become extraordinary. You are no longer one of the ordinary people in the masses. You have a gift. And if you knew how precious you are, no one has a right to silence you. No one has a right to take away that gift that you share with others. Step up. Share your brilliance. Share your stories. This summer, I was in a bookstore, and I happened to find a book called The Fifth Agreement. And I was flipping through the book, and there was a section on story. I don't know if any of you have read the book. I have not read the book. I just read this one passage. And he was describing a movie theater. And the person goes into the movie. And the star of that movie is that person. It is their life. And they sit down in the seat and they're watching this movie on the screen. And all of a sudden they recognize other characters in the movie. Their mother, their father, brothers, sisters, cousins, friends. And they're watching their story play out on the screen. And then they leave the movie theater and they go to another theater. And this time they recognize the person sitting in the audience. It's their mother. And they sit down next to their mother and they're watching her story on the screen. And this person, of course, is one of the supporting players in the movie. But surprisingly, the person doesn't see themselves in the movie the same way they saw themselves in their movie. This is their mother's movie. And their mother is seeing the person differently than they saw themselves. And they go into another movie theater and another family member is watching their movie. And again, they are in this person's movie, and this person sees them differently than the mother and themselves. And I started thinking as I was reading this, because it was a very interesting concept. How do we project ourselves? Do people see us the way we think they see us? They probably don't. But how can we change their perception? We can do that through stories. And when we share our stories, then people get to know us the way we really are. And if we take off that mask of perfection and stop pretending to be perfect, because we're not. Nobody's perfect. Gosh, if we were all perfect, the world would be perfect. Everything would be perfect and easy. It's not. But when we connect authentically and share our stories, we take our lives to another level, and we are enriching the lives of others, and they are now seeing us for whom we really are. How do you want to be seen? It's the stories that you will share with others, in addition to how you live your life. And if you live your life authentically, when you risk being vulnerable and sharing your story, I believe you go through life being the person you truly are. You're free. You're free to share with others, and they understand you. And you will attract to yourself people who identify with your story. You will be connected with others in a way you can't be when you pretend to be someone else. Be yourself. And do that through the sharing of your amazing stories, because they are extraordinary, and they are yours and yours alone. I would like you to say, I am extraordinary. I am extraordinary. Yes, let's say it again with feeling. I am extraordinary. Yes, because you are. You are all extraordinary. The stories within you are the riches that you give the world. We're all so precious. And getting to know you and feeling your energy here as we share our time together makes a difference as we impact each other's lives. Because we are extraordinary, and no one can silence us.
Right.
And our stories will be heard, and our children will hear our stories, and our colleagues will hear our stories, and our friends will hear our stories, and our relatives will hear our stories, and we will go out into the world and share our stories, because what are we? We are extraordinary. You better believe it. We are extraordinary. You are extraordinary. Each and every one of you. And it's all because of the stories that are inside of you, waiting to be told. Does anyone have any questions about story? Anything I can answer that will help you tell a fuller, richer story?
No, just a comment. I like what you're saying, because I'm a marketing rep for Always Best Care, and it is important to somewhat, I guess, put yourself, to make yourself an authentic person to the person that you're sharing, or you're talking, or you're trying to get their business. And so to be able to share myself in terms of how I see the program and how I want that family, because we are a real caring organization. And we want to take care, and we want that family to know that, hey, while you're at work, we're taking care of mom and dad the same way that you would. So I put myself in that, so because it's all about working together. It has to be a great marriage to let someone come into your home, you know, and to trust you. It's important to share and to be authentic and as genuine as you can be, because you're developing a relationship with me, the person, as the home care representative first.
Yes.
Before you get the next thing. So,
yes. And what you would want to do is
that.
Share stories of how you helped other people.
Yes.
Give examples
Yes.
of other families that you've helped.
Yes.
And the amazing transformation that they had because you came into their lives and helped them with whatever problem they had. You're in a wonderful field where you can share people's stories.
Thank you for that. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
so share that, and they will say, oh, they care. That's how you talk about caring. When you share stories and you show what you did for other families, yes,
Yeah.
then they understand that you can help them.
Thank you.
And that's what they want. That's the solution they're looking for.
Cool.
Did you?
I did, and I loved what you said about how it was like how you know what stories to share is where you look at the audience around you. One thing I was wondering about is, say a lot of your stories involve something unusual or just an extraordinary life, so to speak. How do you make sure that when you're being honest and candid about your story, you don't end up like going off into a realm that will make others uncomfortable?
Yes, you don't want to do
No.
that.
That's definitely what you want to avoid, but at the same time you want to be honest
Yes.
about what your story is. So I was just wondering if you had
So,
any
are you
pointers on that.
speaking into an audience, or are you speaking one-on-one?
Either way. And definitely, well, with an audience, you'd be much more guarded about what you say because there's a whole lot of people. But
Right.
even so, when you're speaking one-on-one with another individual,
When
or
we
a group
speak
of
to an audience, they're usually there for a purpose.
Exactly.
You know, you have, like, for example, here, we have the Healthier You conference. So we know that everyone here is interested in health. So you might have a story that relates to you and health. Now you're connecting with them. So it's a finding a way, because when we have, like I said, we have so many stories, it's finding the right story for the
right
audience.
group.
And so therefore, you need to know why they're there. When it's an audience. And usually, if you have a title for your talk, that's going to attract them. So the people there are interested in that topic, relate to the topic, and relate to your audience. You need to know your audience. If you don't, if you're speaking somewhere and you don't know your audience, find out. Ask the organizer, who's coming? Who are you attracting? Who are you marketing to? Can I ask you a few questions? And then you find out more and you relate your talk to your audience. That's very important. Because we all have many stories, and I could tell you lots of stories, but you would say, like, why is she telling me that? That would be crazy, you know? Certain people hear certain stories. Not everybody hears all of our stories. For example, Thanksgiving is coming up. You sit down at the Thanksgiving table, it's a nice time to share family stories. Perhaps things that these triggers might set off, oh, I forgot about that. I would like to share that with my cousin, my mother, my father, my brother. Maybe make Thanksgiving a time of sharing stories that you wouldn't necessarily think of. When you have a friend that you're talking to, now there you may get more personal. I could share very personal stories if I'm comfortable doing that. But if you're not comfortable, it's okay to shift your story. You have a story in you that is appropriate for any situation. Guaranteed. You can find a way to take a situation and turn it around to teach lessons. Perhaps you're a sports enthusiast in a sport of some sort. What lessons did you learn as you accomplished that sport? And then maybe you can talk to people about how you have to go things to learn and try and use your sport as an example to drive home the point of how to master something. So you're using story as you relate to your audience. What I always recommend for a speaker is to share a story, share points, go back to stories, share some facts, go back to stories, because it's the stories that drive home the points that you're making and makes them memorable. We remember stories. We put these visual movies in our mind. And the important thing when you have a story is that people remember you. You become the speaker. Everyone remembers. You become that storyteller. And people will leave, and they will remember you. I ran into someone here, and she said to me, oh, I remembered when you spoke at my group 2 years ago, and you talked about the tail. I told a story about if you're ever in a group and you're feeling nervous, you can have this imaginary tail, And it gives you confidence. Try it right now. Go on, I can't see. Go on, try wagging that little imaginary tail. You feel it? Sitting up a little tall. Yeah. She remembered the tail story.
Wow.
I know, 2 years. I forgot the tail story. I forgot I even shared that. I haven't shared it since. I shared it today. Because I ran into her here and she remembered the story.
Cool.
People remember us through our stories. It's how we connect with people. It's a beautiful thing. Today, I've had the great honor of sharing stories and time with each of you. And I thank you for that so very much. You'll notice I put my card on the seat. And as a gift for you, if you go on my website, redhotpresentations.com, you can download, if you like, you just put in your name and email address. I have a free ebook on, it's called Speaking Success Secrets Revealed. I talk about how to open and close a speech, how many points you should make, how to use PowerPoint effectively. If you're a speaker, this might be something that interests you. And I also have, thank you, a free 52-week lesson that you'll get once a week. It's a little speaking tip. It's very short, and it'll just tell you how to be a fabulous speaker and how to share your stories and how to connect with your audience. You can unsubscribe at any time. It's absolutely free. There's no strings attached. I won't even know which one of you signed up. I don't know your email addresses. It's just my gift to you. So feel free to sign up for that. Also, I make my living speaking. That's what I do. I speak and I teach. And if you have a referral that 90% of my business comes from referrals. I also appreciate that so much, whether it's in a corporate environment, a training session, workshops, coming in as a speaker, or working individually with people to help them with their speeches. If you give me a referral, I will give you a very special gift that I've created for the Healthier You Conference. I will give you my audio programs on storytelling and the worksheets that go with it. And my clients pay money, so don't tell them. This is for you for the conference. I'm going to set up a private web page, and I'll send you a link with a password, and you can go in and download my audios and the worksheets that will help you become a better storyteller. And it goes into detail on storytelling for your personal story and how to use stories, other people's stories too, when you speak. Because part of speaking is not just your stories. You can tell other stories. Just make them original. That's the key. Because then people won't say, oh, I heard that before. Not if it's original. It's your story. So that is my gift to you. So if you write down someone that you know, but make sure you put your contact information on there as well so I can send to you, I need your email address, so I can send to you the link so that you can download the audios and worksheets. And it will hopefully change your storytelling and speaking experience. I thank you all so very much for your time today. And if you have any questions afterwards, I will be around. Oh yes, a shameless plug. My book is on Amazon. redhotpresentations.com.
How much is your book?
On Amazon it's 15, but here it's only 10.
Yes.
But I only have 2 left, so don't all rush off at once. Go out and share your stories. You are extraordinary. One more time, stand up and say, I am extraordinary.
I am extraordinary.
One more time, I am extraordinary.
I am extraordinary.
And you
Wow, wasn't that exciting? Give Judy one more call.